That feeling of inner uncertainty. It's something so many of us wrestle with, right? Imagine standing at a crossroads. Could be a huge life decision, maybe just, I don't know, a small everyday choice. And that quiet voice inside, your intuition, it kind of nudges you one way. But then this louder voice pipes up, full of doubt, screaming something totally different. Do you trust that whisper? Or do you just second guess, overthink everything, and look to everyone but yourself for the answers? It's such a common thing, that nagging self-doubt, that struggle to just know what's right for you.
That hesitation you mentioned, that feeling like you need someone else to sign off on your choices, it's incredibly common. It's often a signal, really, a sign that our self-trust, the deep foundation of confidence, maybe it needs a bit of attention, a little nurturing. But what if you could actually learn to lean into your own inner wisdom, to make decisions with more certainty, more confidence, even when things aren't perfectly clear?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. How to build that inner certainty, that kind of unwavering confidence in your decisions. We're going to explore intuition, that power we often misunderstand, and self-efficacy, its role, how to maybe reframe that inner critic voice, plus the practical, daily things you can do to really cultivate deep self-trust. The mission here is to give you the insights, the tools to tap into your own amazing inner knowing. Start walking your path with real confidence. Okay, so let's talk about that struggle. What does it actually look like when we don't trust ourselves? It's more than just, taking ages to decide something, isn't it? It feels much deeper than picking between two options.
Oh, absolutely. Not trusting yourself. It shows up in so many ways. You might second guess pretty much every decision, or constantly look to other people for answers. Maybe you believe everyone else has it figured out, but, not you. And this often leads to low self-esteem, right? Fuzzy boundaries for your physical health, your mental space, your emotional well-being, sometimes even avoiding looking inward or avoiding being alone. It's like a fundamental disconnect from yourself. And that can make relationships tricky, even with people you really love.
Yeah, it sounds like a pattern, like you're consistently ignoring your own internal signals, maybe even those red flags you instinctively pick up about a situation or a person. It's like overriding your own built-in warning system.
Precisely. Think about it this way. If you don't trust what you actually like or what you truly want or what makes you happy, how can you genuinely feel loved? By yourself or by others? Ignoring your feelings is like trying to drive with the handbrake on. You're just fighting yourself. Real self-trust. It starts when you give yourself permission to feel everything, even the uncomfortable stuff. Anger, sadness, jealousy. Because that's where your true needs often reveal themselves. If you deny those feelings, pretend they aren't there, you can't build that trust. You can't be honest with yourself. And that denial, it just chips away at your self-belief.
Okay, so if denying that inner voice is a big part of the problem, how do we start to listen again? People talk about gut feelings, intuition, but often feels so vague, intangible. How do we learn to trust something we can't always rationally explain?
Right. And this is where it gets really powerful, I think. Your intuition. It isn't some mystical sixth sense. Not really. It's actually your brain doing something amazing. It's like a lightning fast pattern recognition system. It picks up on all these subtle cues subconsciously. Things like body language, maybe a slight shift in tone of voice, tiny contextual hints, stuff you don't even consciously register. And then it synthesizes all that data into a conclusion that just feels right. You get that aha moment. It's an internal alert system, often bypassing your conscious and analytical thought. Think about real-life examples. Maybe someone you know had a strong gut feeling their partner was being unfaithful, even with no obvious proof, they asked. And sadly, sometimes that intuition is confirmed. Experiences like that where ignoring intuition led to regret, or maybe following it brought real clarity, those build profound trust over time.
Okay, wow. So intuition is like our brain's super fast pattern matching. That makes a lot more sense. But how do we actually get better at hearing it? And more importantly, build the confidence to act on it? It's one thing to feel a gut feeling, but another to actually, bet on it, especially when the stakes feel high.
That's the perfect question. And that's exactly where self-efficacy comes into play. Self-efficacy, it's basically your belief. Your belief in your own capacity to do specific things, to achieve particular goals. It's not just general confidence, like I'm a confident person. It's more targeted. It's the belief I can handle this specific task. And this belief, it's fundamental for motivation, for well-being, for actually accomplishing things. And the really good news, it's something you can actively build. It's not fixed.
Okay, how do you build it? Is it like a muscle you can train?
Absolutely. Think about how we truly learn and grow. It's by doing things, right? Every time you successfully navigate something tough, even something small, maybe finally tackling that tricky project at work, or having that difficult conversation you kept putting off. Each time, you're essentially putting a little bit more self-trust into your personal belief bank. That direct experience of, wow, I did that. I can do this. It's incredibly powerful. We call these mastery experiences.
Well, learning by doing, essentially.
Exactly. But it's also built when you see other people succeed, especially people you feel are similar to you, when you see them achieve something through sustained effort. That's vicarious experience. It creates a sort of mental blueprint. If they can do it, maybe I can too. Then there's verbal persuasion, getting genuine, realistic encouragement from someone credible. Imagine a coach telling an athlete, you've trained so hard for this, you've absolutely got this. That kind of support. It can seriously boost confidence and effort.
Right. Hearing it from someone you trust makes a difference.
It really does. And what's also fascinating is how we interpret our own body signals, our physiological and emotional states. Feeling your heart race before a big presentation, you could interpret that as fear, as, oh no, I'm going to fail. Or you could reframe it, see it as excitement, as energy getting you ready for peak performance. Learning some stress management techniques can really help here, help you transform those signals from roadblocks into resources. And one more thing, don't underestimate the power of seeing it in your mind first. Imaginal experiences. Visualization. When you mentally rehearse success, really paint a vivid picture of achieving your goals. That mental practice helps you build belief before you even take the first step.
Okay, so it's not passive. We're not just waiting for confidence to magically appear. We're actively building it. Through doing things, watching others, getting encouragement, reframing how we feel, even just visualizing success, it sounds much more proactive. Okay, but what about that voice, that inner critic a lot of us have, that constant monologue telling us all the things we should be doing or how we're just not good enough? It's like a should monster, right? That relentless stream. You're such an idiot. Who would ever want to read that garbage? Just stop trying. Mine definitely has its favorite refrains it likes to trot out. It can feel relentless. How does that fit into building self-trust? How do we deal with something that sounds so harsh, so judgmental? It feels like a battle you just can't win sometimes.
Yeah, that inner critic can be loud. But here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit counterintuitive. That critical voice, the one saying, you should be doing X or you're not good enough for Y. It's actually, well, it's trying to take care of you, strange as that sounds. It's often a kind of trauma response, a protector part of you that was born from past experiences. Even small t traumas count here, like being repeatedly belittled as a kid or told you weren't smart enough or good enough. So it thinks it's keeping you safe, warning you about potential risks, trying to prevent future pain or disappointment. But its methods are, well, let's just say ham-fisted, painful, and often really ineffective.
Wait, so the goal isn't to just shut it up or like slay the should monster. We're supposed to listen to it? That sounds incredibly difficult when it's being so mean, like inviting your biggest bully over for tea.
Exactly. That's the shift. Trying to fight it, it just exhausts you both, you and the critic. Instead, you tune in, you get curious. First, maybe try to identify it. What does your inner critic sound like? Feel like? When does it usually pipe up? Is its voice maybe tied to someone from your past? A parent, a teacher, someone whose judgment you internalized? Then you gently ask it questions like, okay, I hear you being really critical right now. What are you actually worried about? What do you need? What are you afraid will happen if I try to do this thing? You don't have to do what it says, not at all, but you acknowledge its underlying fear. With some warmth, some compassion if you can muster it. And over time, doing this consistently, that voice often starts to soften. It becomes less of a harsh judge and more like a cautious advisor. Maybe a slightly misguided one sometimes, but an ally nonetheless. Imagine going back to that crossroads now with this understanding. Does that loud critical voice still have the same power? Or can you hear the whisper of your own wisdom a bit more clearly underneath it?
This really sounds like a fundamental shift, a different way of relating to ourselves. It's one thing to understand these ideas, though, and another to really live them day to day. So what are the practical steps? The daily habits, maybe? Things that help us build this kind of deep, resilient self-trust.
You're absolutely right. It's a practice, definitely not a one-time fix. Think about resilience. At its core, it's that flexible strength, right? The ability to cope under pressure, to bend without breaking. And it's generally built on two things: keeping a reasonably positive outlook even when things are tough, and having a toolbox of good strategies to navigate challenges. Cultivating self-trust. That's a huge part of building personal resilience. And it fuels mindful decision-making. So let's talk practical strategies, things you can start weaving into your life, maybe even today. First, let's focus on cultivating inner honesty and self-acceptance. This is key. One simple but powerful practice. Declare, I am enough. It might sound a bit cheesy at first, but try it. Repeat to yourself, maybe even out loud looking in the mirror, I am enough exactly as I am. This isn't about seeking external validation. It's about reclaiming your own inherent worth. It gets easier, more believable with repetition. Next, work with your feelings, not against them. Acknowledge everything you feel. The good, the bad, the uncomfortable, sadness, anger, jealousy. Just admit it to yourself. Okay, I'm feeling jealous right now. This honesty helps you dig deeper, understand your true needs, your desires, and eventually it allows you to shift towards more compassion, more empowerment. Because denying your feelings, that's denying your own truth. And you can't trust yourself if you're not being truthful with yourself. And related to that, tell yourself the truth. Compassion. Be honest about your actions, your mistakes, but always pair it with kindness, not that harsh inner critic voice. So if you forget something important instead of, oh, you're such an idiot, maybe try something like, okay, it seems like I often struggle to remember this type of thing. What could I do differently next time? Maybe set a reminder. It's accountability, yes, but wrapped in kindness. Like how you talk to a good friend. This helps break negative cycles and choose new, more supportive ways forward.
So it really is about building that internal relationship. One based on truth, but also genuine kindness. Like being your own best friend, really.
Exactly. And that leads naturally into the next part, protecting your inner world and your personal space. This means setting boundaries based on your personal needs. First, you got to figure out what you actually need to feel happy, healthy, fulfilled. Maybe it's more personal space, more respect in conversations, honesty, freedom to make your own choices. Boundaries are what protect you physically, mentally, emotionally. Knowing your limits and having clear consequences in mind for when they're crossed, even if it's just removing yourself from a situation, means you can trust yourself to, have your own back. This is crucial everywhere, work, home, everywhere. And another piece of this is spending time alone with yourself. This is so important for introspection, just time to reflect without constant distractions. Think of your mind like a closet, maybe. If you just keep shoving stuff in without ever organizing it, it becomes a total mess, right? You can't find anything. Taking dedicated time just to be with your thoughts, process things, it helps you connect with that inner voice, hear what it's actually saying, which is absolutely essential for building self-confidence and self-love. You need to hear yourself clearly.
That makes so much sense. We fill our lives with so much noise. It's easy to lose touch with that inner compass. Okay, but how do we then apply all this, the honesty, the boundaries, the quiet time, to the actual act of making decisions?
Great question. That's where embracing mindfulness in decision-making really shines. Try practicing what some people call the balcony perspective. It means mentally stepping back, observing your thoughts, your emotions, almost like you're watching them from a balcony, impartially, before you react or decide. This little pause. It helps you see what's really a decision you need to make. It helps clarify your own values and goals, separating them from external pressures or expectations. It also helps you avoid those irrational commitments like the sunk cost bias, where you keep pouring energy into something just because you've already invested so much, even if it's clearly not working.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Mindfulness helps you catch that, and it helps you sit with uncertainty without feeling paralyzed by it. Crucially, it helps you put together your intuition and your rational analysis. Use both your gut feeling and your thinking brain effectively.
Right. So these aren't like quick fixes or magic bullets. It's more of a journey, isn't it? Small, consistent steps, like speaking up for yourself in a small way today helps you trust yourself to do it again tomorrow. Building that muscle day by day. #tag outro. So we've really covered a lot today. We've dived deep into learning to trust yourself more, moving from understanding that self-doubt to unpacking intuition and self-efficacy, even reframing that tricky inner critic. And finally, looking at how to weave these ideas into daily life through resilience and mindfulness.
And I think if there's one key takeaway, it's this. Inner certainty, real confidence. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having all the answers instantly. It really comes from cultivating that conscious relationship with yourself, an honest one, a compassionate one. It's truly about trusting your own inner wisdom to guide your choices, even when the world outside is noisy and full of conflicting advice.
And ultimately, this journey isn't just about making better decisions, is it? It feels bigger than that. It's about living a more authentic life, a more fulfilling one. So as you go forward, as you face your next crossroads, big or small, maybe just consider this. What if the greatest answers you've been searching for and that deep confidence you desire, what if they've actually been inside you all along, just waiting for you to quiet the noise, listen closely, and simply trust? Keep exploring, keep growing, and keep trusting that incredible inner compass.